afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is just after 2, and all members of council are present this afternoon, along with our CAO and our office manager. And with that, if I could have a resolution for the adoption of the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. Communications for action 8.4 AMM meeting invite. New other business 9.4 Guns Mill lease agreement. 9.5 Road 81 Devils Creek Bridge plant. And communications for information 12.44 AMM member services advisories.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Bazarovic seconds. Any discussion, anything else that we have to pay attention to or add to the agenda or delete? Hearing and seeing that, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, confirmation of the minutes. We have one set of minutes, and those are the minutes from our regular meeting of March 14th. If I could have that resolution, please.
Resolve the minutes of March 14, 2023 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Belanger, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any comments on the minutes? Any deletions, additions, corrections? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We do have a public hearing this afternoon, and that is to deal with the South St. Clements utility borrowing bylaw. And we need a resolution to open the public hearing, and if I could have that, please.
Resolve the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for bylaw 4 of 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarovic, Councillor Strang seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And I do believe that our CAO does have a presentation on the borrowing bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the borrowing bylaw is for the water infrastructure priorities, specifically borrowing for the water infrastructure. But as part of the bylaw, we identified the entire borrowing for both water and sewer, or the entire project for water and sewer that was identified as part of our approval for grants for the Manitoba Water Services Board. So bylaw 4 of 2023 is to provide for the expenditure and borrowing of funds to complete the sewer construction and water pipelines to the South St. Clements utility catchment area. So the project entails 2 components, and we will be signing 2 separate agreements for that. The first component is the project involves the agreement with the Manitoba Water Services Board and the Arm of St. Clements for the decommissioning of the Lockport wastewater treatment plant and construction of a lift station. The project is estimated at $2 million, and the rural municipality of St. Clements will require to repay $1 million, and the province of Manitoba will provide a grant for the other $1 million. The municipality's portion will be provided through reserve accounts, and an agreement with the Manitoba Water Services Board has been executed. As we are using reserve accounts, we are not doing any borrowing, and we were able to proceed immediately with the agreements with the Manitoba Water Services Board, and they were finalized as of yesterday. The project involves an agreement also, as part 2 involves an agreement with the Manitoba Water Services Board and the Arm of St. Clements respecting the regional water pipeline, and it's estimated at $4.5 million. The rural municipality of St. Clements will be required to pay $2.25 million, and the province of Manitoba will provide the grant for $2.25 million. The municipality's portion will be provided by borrowing through this bylaw. So to give you a brief understanding, the water treatment plant, the Selkirk Water Treatment Plant, which has just finished a major upgrade, is providing services for over 675 residents today, schools and some commercial businesses. The water quality meets all standards stated in the Canadian Drinking Water Quality Guidelines, and upgrades have been completed to provide softened water. The plant has also been designed for looking at 20 years into the future for a future population of approximately 2,760 residents. The upgrade also includes a truck fill station in order to provide quality, soft, potable water to all residents of the Arm of St. Clements. The design incorporates capacity for expansion of potable water from East Selkirk Water Treatment Plant for residential, industrial, and further commercial development in the Lockport area. So when the original design was completed, it was to make sure that it was able to also expand into the Lockport area and into the South St. Clements. The upgrade may also provide for fire protection in the future in those areas as we move forward. So the first part of this project, or the second part, which is the Henderson wastewater sewer project, has been a #1 infrastructure priority in the Arm of St. Clements, and through boring and grants from the Manitoba Water Services Board, an 8-kilometer force main from East Selkirk Lagoons to Lockport was completed in January of 2023. Construction of the lift station and decommissioning of the undersized Mage treatment plant was also identified. Future expansion at the East Selkirk Lagoons will require mechanical aeration systems, nutrient reduction capacity, and construction of a new treated affluent outfall, which will be slated as probably phase 3 in the future. The area around Lockport and to the south is home to about 4,000 people, and the existing use of septic fields are not environmentally sustainable in the Red River Corridor. The project will involve pumping wastewater to East Selkirk Lagoons and expanding the lagoons to accommodate nutrient reductions. This phase of the project involves the decommissioning of the treatment plant and installing a large lift station. In order to complete the project, for the water pipeline, the municipality of St. Clements will need to borrow a sum of $2.25 million as identified for the construction of a regional water pipeline from East Selkirk to Lockport. This project is considered a regional water infrastructure and will also involve the construction of a pipeline to provide water in the future to the rural municipality of St. Andrews. A study is being completed at present on the requirements for water in the rural municipality of St. Andrews, and sharing agreements between the municipalities will need to be negotiated. The debenture payments for the project will be funded through the gas tax reserve. So, any questions?
Yep.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
And we talked about that the last meeting. I just want to clarify, like, when that time comes that we're going to be providing water services west across the river to St. Andrews. I mean, we did some belly math on it, but I mean, that 2.5 that we're boring, we can re-garner that probably in, you know, we can figure out the timeline. So
Yes.
the venture we're taking for 2.5, we can get rid of that in a shorter period than we're going to take the debenture over. If it's a 20-year debenture, we'll probably have that paid off by the time we get water across the river, correct? Or after
Correct.
we start.
Yes, the intent is that we're looking at giving the authority to borrow $2.25 million, and we will have some immediate connections in Lockport as well as possibly in St. Andrews. And when that happens, those connection fees will be able to pay down. So since we will have connection fee collections, we may not need to borrow the full $2.25 million, maybe slightly less. And that can then be determined whether we want to do it as a debenture at that point for over 20 years, and depending on how fast St. Andrews comes on board. They will be paying at minimum same connection fees, but there should also be they're also buying into the overall infrastructure, which our residents have paid for, but St. Andrews residents haven't. So there should be a buy-in fee similar to what happened in Winnipeg for the sewer infrastructure for St. Andrews and West St. Paul. So there will be some level of buy-in to the general infrastructure and then connection fees. But that's what we need to negotiate as part of our agreement as we move forward. Just for clarity purposes, WSP, who's been doing the design for our the water lines, is also doing the study for St. Andrews. They've already been retained to do that work, and they've been working on it for the last few weeks already. They've identified that the likelihood of getting water from the south is very slim, and so most likely as they connect to the southern part of South St. Andrews, they'd be looking at connecting through our water lines. And so that will require a much more longer-term agreement. As they expand, they'll probably bring in their own water treatment plant in the future.
Okay, anything else from members of council? Questions? And this is a public hearing, but I see that there are no residents or people in the gallery who are here for the public hearing. And if there are no further questions
Resolved, the public hearing for bylaw 4 of 2023 be closed and the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Bazarowicz seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next item we have on our agenda is in-camera item that we need to discuss this afternoon. So I will ask for a resolution to go in camera, please.
Resolved, council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and further be it resolved that all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Strang seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Just wait for Heather to stop the recording.
You'll have to start Zoom for Ted Sigler.
Where?
Do you have Zoom started?
Zoom? No, I haven't.
Yeah. For the first item.